Some car brands were once the kings of the road, with bold marketing, roaring engines, and loyal fans. But today, many of these once powerful names are collecting dust, with dwindling sales, aging lineups, and a shrinking customer base. From American giants like Pontiac and Chrysler to imported legends like Saab, Alfa Romeo, and even Jaguar, there's an entire graveyard of automotive icons either extinct or barely clinging to life. In this video, we're diving deep into the forgotten and fading car brands that are either gone or teetering dangerously close to the edge. Some brands you might be shocked to hear about. Others you may have already assumed were long dead. But make no mistake, the car market is shifting fast. We'll explore the reasons behind their decline, from corporate mismanagement and failed mergers to the EV revolution and changing buyer preferences. Buckle up. What you're about to learn could seriously impact your next car buying decision. Let's begin with the fallen legends. Pontiac. Pontiac was once the ultimate symbol of American muscle. With roaring engines, aggressive styling, and a rebel spirit, it stood proudly as General Motors' performance powerhouse. Cars like the GTO, Firebird, and Trans Am didn't just look fast, they were fast. Pontiac was the cool kid on the block, giving drivers a taste of power without breaking the bank. But somewhere along the road, the gas pedal lifted. By the early 2000s, Pontiac was drifting into a fog of confusion. The swagger that once defined it got buried under uninspired models like the G3 and G5, cars that felt more like placeholders than powerhouses. Pontiac became just another nameplate in the GM catalog, sharing parts and platforms with Chevy and Saturn, but offering nothing truly unique. The 2008 financial crash hit the auto industry hard, and GM was forced to make painful cuts. Pontiac, no longer profitable or distinct, was one of the first to go. In 2010, the final Pontiac rolled off the line, and just like that, an icon was gone. Still, Pontiac lives on in the hearts of gearheads and collectors. Its legacy is carved into muscle car history, roaring through vintage car shows and racing memories. But its story also serves as a warning. When a brand loses its edge, no amount of nostalgia can keep it alive. Saab. Saab was never your typical car brand. Born out of an aircraft company in Sweden, its vehicles were engineered with the precision of a fighter jet and the heart of a true original. Saab cars were quirky in all the right ways. From ignition switches on the center console to turbocharged engines before they were cool, Saab spoke to drivers who wanted something different. It was the brand of choice for architects, scientists, and thinkers who valued innovation over flash. But brilliance doesn't always guarantee survival. In the late 1980s, General Motors bought into Saab with promises of expansion. Instead, the uniqueness that made Saab special began to fade. Under GM, the brand was stuffed with cookie-cutter parts from other models. What once felt like a tailored suit now fits like a rental tuxedo. Saab enthusiasts were left scratching their heads as the brand's soul was replaced with blandness. The decline wasn't just cosmetic. Investment in research slowed, model updates became rare, and global support waned. By the time the financial crisis of 2008 arrived, Saab was already on life support. In 2011, the company filed for bankruptcy. It was briefly rescued by a Chinese-backed firm called NEVS, but that revival stalled out almost as quickly as it began. No new Saabs hit the mainstream market. Today, Saab lives in a strange limbo. You might still spot a 9-3 or 9-5 on the road, driven proudly by loyal fans who refuse to let the brand die. But parts are becoming scarce, and service options are few and far between. Saab is now a cult classic, a name spoken with nostalgia and a bit of sadness. Its downfall stands as a reminder that even genius needs the right backing to thrive. Without it, even the brightest ideas can fade away. Hummer. Hummer was never about subtlety. It was loud, it was proud, and it rolled onto the streets with the swagger of a tank in a shopping mall parking lot. Originally based on the military Humvee, the Hummer H1 exploded onto the civilian scene in the 1990s with celebrity endorsements, especially from none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Soon after, the slightly more practical H2 and the even more city-friendly H3 followed. Hummer became the go-to vehicle for those who wanted to make a statement, usually something along the lines of "I own the road." But while Hummer enjoyed its moment in the spotlight, the winds of change were blowing. Rising fuel prices, growing environmental awareness, and an economic downturn hit the brand like a freight train. Consumers started ditching gas guzzlers for hybrids and fuel-efficient compacts. Driving a Hummer became less about style and more about being out of touch. By 2010, with GM restructuring after the financial crisis, the brand was officially retired. Still, Hummer wasn't gone for good. In a twist no one saw coming, GM brought the name back, but this time with a modern twist. Enter the Hummer EV, an all-electric behemoth under the GMC badge. It's just as bold, just as big, but now it's powered by batteries instead of barrels of fuel. The new Hummer EV can even crab walk sideways and sprint to 60 mph in around 3 seconds. That's muscle reimagined for the electric age. However, the new Hummer is not for everyone. It comes with a hefty price tag and remains a luxury toy rather than a practical vehicle for the masses. While it carries the Hummer name, its new identity is far from the gas-guzzling beast that once roamed suburban jungles. Today, the original Hummer lives on as a symbol of a very specific time in automotive history. Bold, brash, and utterly unapologetic. Edsel. When Ford introduced Edsel in 1957, they believed they had the next big thing. Designed to fit neatly between the affordable Ford and the upscale Mercury, Edsel was supposed to be the car that captured Middle America's growing appetite for status and innovation. Ford invested heavily in market research, hype, and advertising, creating a buzz that had everyone expecting a game-changer. And then the car arrived. The styling was the first problem. The now infamous front grille, nicknamed the horse collar, or worse by critics, turned off buyers immediately. It was meant to look futuristic, but it came across as awkward and just plain ugly to most people. Add in confusing model names, quality control issues, and a price tag that didn't quite match the value offered, and it quickly became clear that Ford had missed the mark. But the timing was just as brutal. The late 1950s saw a surprising economic downturn, and customers were holding on to their money. People were less likely to take a risk on a flashy new brand and more likely to stick with names they already trusted. Edsel's over-the-top marketing promises simply did not match the real-world product or economic climate. Sales figures were disappointing from the start. Instead of attracting a new wave of customers, Edsel quickly became a punchline. In just 3 years, the brand was scrapped. Ford ended up losing an enormous amount of money on the project, equivalent to billions today. Despite its failure, Edsel has carved out a strange legacy. It is now a collector's item for vintage car lovers who appreciate its place in history. More importantly, the name Edsel has entered the cultural lexicon as a symbol of failure, used to describe any product launch that falls flat on its face. Edsel is a classic example of how even the biggest companies with the biggest budgets can get it spectacularly wrong. Nissan. Nissan was once one of the most trusted and exciting names in the American car market. From the sleek 350Z that thrilled driving enthusiasts to the practical and ever-popular Altima and Rogue, Nissan had a model for just about every kind of buyer. It balanced performance, affordability, and dependability in a way that earned it a loyal customer base across the United States. But that momentum has taken a nosedive in recent years. Sales are down sharply, and Nissan's market share in the US is slipping. While the company has the infrastructure to support around 8.5% of the American market, it is currently sitting at a lackluster 4.5%. That is a major warning sign for a brand that once stood shoulder to shoulder with giants like Toyota and Honda. Dealerships are feeling the pinch. Lots are overloaded with unsold cars. Manufacturing plants are not running at full capacity. Even with a diverse lineup, including sedans, SUVs, and electric options, Nissan just isn't drawing the crowds like it used to. Consumers are turning to competitors who offer fresher designs, better reliability scores, and more advanced technology. Behind the scenes, things are not much better. A rumored merger with Honda, which could have created a powerhouse Japanese alliance, quietly collapsed. Now, reports suggest there is growing internal pressure on CEO Makoto Uchida, whose leadership is being questioned by key players within the company. Nissan is at a critical crossroads. Without bold innovation or strategic partnerships, it risks fading even further from relevance in the US market. Some analysts believe it may eventually withdraw or become a target for acquisition by a larger automotive player. For a company that once challenged the very best, Nissan's current slide is as alarming as it is disappointing. The clock is ticking, and the next few years may decide whether this former titan can bounce back or fade into the background. Mini. Mini was once the cool kid of the compact car world. When it made its US comeback in the early 2000s under BMW's leadership, it brought a breath of fresh air to the market. With its retro styling, go-kart handling, and cheeky personality, the Mini Cooper wasn't just a car, it was a lifestyle statement. It appealed to urban drivers, young professionals, and anyone who wanted something fun and fuel-efficient without sacrificing flair. But somewhere along the road, Mini started losing its identity. As the brand tried to appeal to a broader audience, it rolled out larger models like the Countryman and Clubman. These vehicles were roomier, yes, but they also diluted what made Mini special. Suddenly, the brand known for being small and nimble was making cars that looked more like crossovers. The quirky edge that once defined Mini became harder to spot. As the cars got bigger, so did the price tags. And in a market saturated with sleek SUVs and high-tech compacts, Mini's offerings started to feel out of step. Sales reflected this shift. After peaking in 2012 with over 76,000 units sold in the US, Mini's numbers began a slow and steady decline. Today, some Mini models are sitting on dealer lots for over 180 days, a clear sign of waning interest. The problem is not just size. Competitors are outpacing Mini in tech features, fuel efficiency, and value. And with the brand caught between premium pricing and practical compromises, it is failing to hit the sweet spot for most buyers. Unless BMW finds a way to recapture the original Mini magic or drastically repositions the brand, the future looks uncertain. Mini could be on the verge of becoming another once iconic nameplate that simply ran out of relevance. Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo's return to North America in 2016 was nothing short of dramatic. With the sleek Giulia sedan and the stylish Stelvio SUV, the brand aimed to capture hearts with Italian flair, sharp handling, and high-performance engineering. The top-tier quadrifolio versions were particularly exciting, offering blistering speed and track-ready dynamics. Enthusiasts were thrilled. Car reviewers swooned. For a moment, it seemed like Alfa was back and ready to compete with the heavyweights. But under all the flash and excitement, trouble was brewing. Reliability problems surfaced quickly, ranging from electrical gremlins to mechanical faults. While the cars looked amazing and drove like a dream, they also spent too much time in service bays. For luxury buyers, dependability is non-negotiable, and Alfa struggled to deliver on that front. Another big issue was Alfa's dealership footprint. With limited showrooms across the US, potential customers often had to travel long distances just to test drive or service a vehicle. That inconvenience became a deal-breaker for many buyers who had more accessible options from other luxury brands. Then there is the product range, or lack of it. Alfa Romeo's entire US lineup hinged on just 2 models for years. Without a strong portfolio or new releases to keep interest alive, the brand's momentum faded. Sales figures paint a clear picture. In 2024, Alfa Romeo sold only 8,865 cars in the United States. That is not a sustainable number for any major player in this market. To make matters worse, the high-performance quadrifolio models were recently discontinued, eliminating the very versions that had generated the most excitement. Add in the shifting strategies within parent company Stellantis, and Alfa's future in North America looks more uncertain than ever. What was once a bold return now feels like a quiet retreat. Unless something changes fast, Alfa Romeo could be headed for another exit, and this time, it might be permanent. Chrysler. There was a time when Chrysler stood tall among American car brands. It blended luxury with innovation and offered models that turned heads and won hearts. The Chrysler 300 sedan had a bold presence that gave off executive vibes at a reasonable price, while the town and country minivan set the standard for family transportation. Chrysler was a brand people trusted and aspired to own. Fast forward to today, and things look very different. The once proud lineup has been reduced to just 2 minivans, the Chrysler Pacifica and the fleet-focused Voyager. That's all. No sedans, no crossovers, no electric flagships, just minivans. And while the Pacifica is praised for its comfort and available plug-in hybrid variant, it is not nearly enough to carry an entire brand. Even Chrysler's potential lifeline into the future, the Airflow electric crossover, has been shelved. It was supposed to be the start of a bold new chapter in the brand's story. But with its cancellation, Chrysler has lost its only EV development that showed promise. That leaves the brand directionless in a rapidly electrifying industry. Sales reflect this ongoing decline. Over the last decade, Chrysler's numbers have dropped by more than 50%. In an era where automakers are racing to expand their electric portfolios and tech features, Chrysler seems stuck in neutral. There is no fresh buzz, no major redesigns, and certainly no sense of urgency. Inside Stellantis, Chrysler feels like a fading afterthought. Without a merger, a rebrand, or an aggressive push into new segments, there is real concern that Chrysler could be quietly phased out. The name may live on for a while through minivans, but its influence and identity have all but vanished. Chrysler is now a shell of its former self. From being an American staple to hanging on by a thread with just 2 family haulers, the brand's fall has been slow and sad. Its future? Hanging in the balance. Mitsubishi. There was a time when Mitsubishi was a serious contender in the American auto market. It had sporty street cred with models like the Eclipse and the Lancer Evolution. along with practical picks like the Montero and Galant. The brand offered style, performance, and value at a time when Toyota and Honda were dominating showrooms. For a while, Mitsubishi was keeping pace and carving out its own loyal fan base. Now, that momentum has all but disappeared. Mitsubishi's current lineup in the US is thin and forgettable. Its most affordable offering, the Mirage, was recently discontinued, a strange move at a time when buyers are actively searching for budget-friendly options in the new car market. That decision alone has raised eyebrows about Mitsubishi's long-term strategy and its ability to stay relevant in an increasingly competitive landscape. Dealerships are also vanishing. There are only about 300 Mitsubishi dealers left across the country. That makes finding and servicing a Mitsubishi more inconvenient than ever, especially compared to rivals with massive dealer networks and strong customer support systems. For shoppers who value peace of mind, that lack of presence is a serious turnoff. The Outlander, the brand's current flagship SUV, is holding up reasonably well. It shares a platform with the Nissan Rogue and offers modern features at an appealing price point. But one SUV can only do so much. Without additional fresh products or compelling designs, Mitsubishi risks being seen as a one-hit wonder in a market that demands innovation and variety. While Mitsubishi still has a global footprint and backing from its alliance with Nissan and Renault, its American future looks dim. It lacks brand excitement, product depth, and market buzz. Without a bold new direction or a major investment push, Mitsubishi could fade into obscurity in the US just as quickly as it once rose to prominence. The clock is ticking, and right now, Mitsubishi is barely hanging on. As the auto industry transforms, some brands are thriving, and others are barely hanging on. Pontiac, Saab, Edsel, their stories are already over. Nissan, Chrysler, Jaguar, their fates are still uncertain, but the warning signs are there. As a consumer, it's crucial to stay informed. What looks like a great deal today could become a headache tomorrow if a brand disappears. So before you head to the dealership, remember, popularity isn't everything, but sustainability and support matter more than ever. What do you think? Are these brands doomed, or can they make a comeback? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful or eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the automotive world. Thanks for watching, and drive safe.